So you might have seen my video recently where I go over the so-called cheap Cybertruck, which is neither cheap nor a truck, but we'll just skip past that for a moment. They've basically offered a $10,000 discount on what was the base model of the Cybertruck, but the difference being is that this Cybertruck, this cheaper version of it, is actually missing many components and features that are essential really to off-roading. For example, it's not even all-wheel drive, it only has two-wheel drive on it. One of the axles where the motor actually rotates the wheels has been taken out as trying to make it cheaper. So it's not really a $10,000 discount. I mean, it's probably about a $2,000 discount, but you're losing about $8K worth of stuff. I mean, how do you place value on something like four-wheel drive compared to two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, something like that? It's invaluable if you're wanting to off-road, and let's be real here, you can't really off-road with it anyway. And the biggest real problem with the Cybertruck, other than the fact it's not a truck, is that it's just not very good as well. It's not something that's ever going to recover its reputation. It looks horrible. Its build quality is pretty shoddy. And on top of all this, despite all these problems, they just keep mounting up even more because apparently the inventory of unsold Cybertruck has absolutely skyrocketed. They have basically produced too many. They've got too much supply for not enough demand. And I've spoke about this extensively before with Tesla. They've had a problem in the past where they had too much demand and not enough supply. They couldn't make them fast enough. Now they're really suffering the consequences of that. They've made far too many Cybertrucks and they are just effectively sat in parking lots waiting for people to buy them. I mean, I don't think this person had a point, but I did a video a couple of days ago going over how a recent Cybertruck purchaser, I mean, the main mistake that they've made is the fact that they've bought a Cybertruck. But again, we'll skip past that for this video. But they basically complained about having a Cybertruck that was on the parking lot for like 3-4 months before it got sold, which personally, I don't have a problem with. I don't think there's an issue with that as long as the Cybertruck is of the quality that is required, which again, we'll skip past that. Well, I would argue that it's not really of the quality even when it's as good as it should be, in inverted commas. But, honestly, it's just laughable that people are complaining about stuff like that. But it does speak to a real problem. If they're having to put these Cybertrucks out in these so-called graveyards, again, something I've covered before, both in Australia and the UK, there are apparently Cybertruck, at least Tesla graveyards, I should say. And it's also applying to these Cybertrucks now because they've made too many and they can't sell them. How many do they want to sell? He wanted to sell like 500,000 in the first year or something like that. But Musk has sold absolutely a pitiful amount compared to that. Now, again, I literally just recorded a video going on about how, the Tesla demand has absolutely dropped, in particular in places like Europe as well, because of Musk's negative reputation. And it's the same domestically as well in the United States. I'm sure a lot of people have been turned off the idea of owning a Tesla just purely because that some of that money is going to Elon Musk's pocket and people don't want to be going supporting him. I'm sure there's some people that don't mind, absolutely, but there's going to be some people that do, and that will have hurt their sales as well. We've also had new finance options as well for the new Model 3 and the new Model Y as well. 0% APR on the Model 3, I think it is off the top of my head, if you go for a certain plan. And that's coming literally a few weeks after these new variations of these vehicles were announced. So the fact that they're putting these discounts on them just reeks of desperation. Now, apparently, there are 2,400 Cybertrucks left unsold, currently waiting to be bought in the United States. And that might not sound like that much, but when you realise that the average price of these Cybertrucks is over $100,000, that means that in total, you're talking about $200 million of Cybertruck just waiting, just laying around, nothing to do with them. Nobody wants them. They can't be sold. They will be sold eventually if they stop production on Cybertrucks, but by then these Cybertrucks could have literally been a year old. And in fact, that number has increased even further than that. Apparently, there are 10,000 units. Again, do the maths, $100,000 per Cybertruck at least. That is $1 billion. Even for Elon Musk, that's a lot of money. And believe it or not, it could actually be even worse than that. Now, this information all comes from an article that was written by Electrek editor-in-chief Fred Lambert. Now, he actually believes that the real number could be even worse than 10,000. He said the following on this. Sometimes Tesla may have many vehicles with the exact same configuration at the same location, and it will only publish a single listing for it. The surge in listings was due to a new wave of discounts Tesla had rolled out in bringing buyers, some of over $10,000, like the one we discussed before. Lambert believed, because these discounts varied widely, it increased the diversity of prices for each location of the Cybertruck and forced them to post additional listings. This is about as bad as it gets, wrote Lambert. Over 10,000 unsold Cybertrucks represent about 25% of all Cybertrucks ever sold, or produced in this case, it should say, and is roughly how many Teslas sell during 2 quarters. So that basically means that even if they don't make a single Cybertruck, if they just stop right now, don't produce any more, which I don't think they'll do. They'll keep making them, maybe in smaller numbers, but they'll keep making them. But they've got a surplus of 6 months, so it'll take them half a year. So if they stop producing them right now, then they will eventually run out of surplus in around November. Early November time, just in time for getting up to Christmas and Thanksgiving. But yeah, it's an absolutely incredible thing. I mean, you're talking about $1 billion worth of Cybertruck nearly. Depending on which variations they are. I mean, at an absolute minimum, they are costing $78,000 per Cybertruck. So you're talking about 800 million, roughly. I mean, there will be some that will be worth even more than that. So I reckon they could be around $1 billion, depending on which specification it is. So yeah, it just gets worse for Cybertruck. It gets worse for Tesla. It gets worse for Elon Musk. And we'll be here to cover it. The downfall of Tesla is continuing. We'll see if they can arrest this slump, but it's going to take a minor miracle at this point. But yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. I want to hear what you have to say about this as always. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today. And yeah, if you're a Tesla employee, I feel for you right now. I really do.